This is the Financial Survival Network. Now more than ever. The Financial Survival Network.
For shareholders who are getting involved with us now, you're really having the benefit of us doing a lot of learning over the years. And now I think every drill program is more impactful than the last as we get closer to our goal of a major discovery up there.
And welcome. You are listening to the Financial Survival Network, hopefully watching us as well. And today is a really good day. It's been a great week. Great couple of weeks for this company that's a sponsor of ours that I personally own shares in. I'm talking about Fury Gold Mines. CEO and Director Michael Timmins is with us. The Senior VP of Exploration, Michael Henrichsen, is with us. And, well, I guess we should get started. Got to give you a little bit of the genealogy of the company because you might not be familiar with the company if you haven't been following the story. Auryn Resources acquires East Main. It then splits into three companies: Fury Gold Mines, Tier 1 Silver, Sombrero Resources. Tier 1, Sombrero are now the owners of the companies of Auryn's Peruvian assets. And Fury pretty much is a Canadian gold mining company. And so with us, Mike Timmins and Michael Henrichsen. So Mike, I got to ask you this first. You kind of like there's three peers now. You, Tier 1, Sombrero. Is there a little friendly competition here? Maybe a little underlying competition in the relationship?
That's a good question, Kerry. Thanks for having us. I think it's going to be fun. Right. I mean, each one of the companies is focused on a different metal. So there'll be that whole kind of macro background argument. It'll be different sets of shareholders, I think, looking for different things. So, I think it's going to be fun. There'll always be just the gentlemanly competition to see who's doing what. We all, I would say, have the same mindset when it comes to exploration, the same focus on quality, and the same kind of people first aspect of things. So I think overall, generally, probably, but it's going to be fun, and we're all trying to position it for the shareholders' benefit.
Hey, well, I hope there's a lot of competition, cutthroat, and you all exceed my lofty expectations, because as a shareholder, that's what I want to see. But friendly or otherwise, it's going to be interesting to see who the top performer is. Obviously, there's benefits to each company, which is why they were carved out. And for Fury, what do you think the greatest benefits of spinoff are for you, both running the company spinoff/merger with East Main, where you came from? What do you think the greatest benefits are to it?
I think for Fury, the differentiating part about it is that we have ounces in the ground. So we have, it's not just exploration only, and having a great land position. We have that as well, but we also have ounces in the ground, right? So it's a bit more of an advanced exploration, if you will. I think it's focused also in Canada. It's going to appeal to different types of shareholders. The other aspect too that we get a lot of questions on actually is the multiple asset approach, right? These other companies are going to have a primary asset, perhaps a secondary asset. We have three projects, each with 1 million ounces. All three of them with resource expansion potential. All three of them are probably going to give when we do big step outs because of the land position we have and what our focus is near mine with respect to structure and looking for repeating patterns. And I think also, and Mike could touch on this as well, each one of the projects has the sizzle of a brand new major gold discovery. So, and I think that's, again, that's probably one of the differentiating features is the fact that there's a multiple asset platform within Fury.
So Michael, as the lead in the technical team, you got these three projects. They're all going well now. And you've got a couple others that tertiary projects, we call them. But these three projects all moving ahead. You had some good news recently.
Yeah, certainly. We've just put our first exploration drill hole for the Eau Claire expansion. And it's basically what we did is we said to ourselves, okay, look, we've got this 1.3 million ounces here. It looks beautiful. It's well drilled. We like the quality of the resource. But the question, of course, was when we took it over, does it get bigger? And so we wanted to take a time value approach to see if that happens. So on our first exploration hole, we stepped out 660 meters into the unknown, which is a long way in a gold deposit. And the reason we wanted to do that is we wanted to quickly see, does the structure continue? Is there gold that far away? And the answer was yes. And as a matter of fact, it came back above the cutoff grade for mining. So we really felt comfortable that, hey, we're potentially in that economic part of the zone. And more importantly, for us and our shareholders, we're here to find out early, does this thing turn into a double? Can we get this to be double the size that it is? And I think the history of the project, was built very slowly over 20, 25 years, 25 meter step outs at a time. And, I think for the investors, who were into that story, it was fatiguing. With us, you're going to get that right away. We're going to find out. We're going to see how big this is going to get. We're going to rescale our project at the earliest opportunity. So certainly from a first exploration drill hole, we're extremely pleased. Pleased enough that we put a second drill rig onto the exploration to start looking at that 1 kilometer down plunge extension. So, what we found in the first hole was extremely encouraging, and we're doubling down right now.
All right. So you could have taken the safe approach, go out a couple hundred meters, do a step out, and your odds of hitting something would be a lot higher. But you rolled the dice on this one, didn't you?
I was educated guess, right? I mean, geology, of course, is about taking the best information that you have on hand and trying to make a determination, is this a good piece of risk that we're about to take? And in this case, we saw no reason technically why that structure wouldn't continue, why there wouldn't be gold mineralization on it. And so we just went for it. So a little bit of risk in there, but that's exactly how we want to be performing for our investors, taking that risk for the reward that comes with it.
Hey, and it's always nice to be proven right by the drill as well. Hey, Homestake, 25,000 meter program outlined there. What are you seeing there?
Yeah, for Homestake Ridge, basically very similar to Eau Claire. I mean, this deposit needs to be expanded, and we're going to go and do that expansion work. We see high-grade mineralization basically at the edge of the deposit, and we've done the geologic model to have a lot of comfort that these high-grade shoots are going to extend. And so for me, this is sort of exploration 101. Just get after it. Get after those high-grade breccias. Do the deposit expansion, and also take some risk there. Let's step away from the what's known again to see if, hey, does Homestake turn into a double? So again, you're going to see us be aggressive in that approach.
And you spoke of a game changer for a big gold zone.
Well, we're looking at particularly to the southern part of our deposit trend. There's some ideas that we've been working on over the last few years that we're starting to get very comfortable with respect to, could we find another big pot of mineralization? And again, it's that game changing is, for me, it's like a double. Can we pursue those ideas to double the resource? And certainly, at Homestake Ridge, we see that opportunity in front of us.
Wow. So a lot of excitement. And Mike, right now, you mentioned you've got 18 million Canadian in the till?
That's correct.
So no immediate plans to need to raise capital?
We have no immediate plans to finance. The treasury we have now is focused on building out our business in Quebec and G&A to the end of the year. At a meaningfully higher share price, we may be opportunistic to go out and to fund the rest of our activities for the next 24 to 36 months. But that'll obviously be share price dependent. In Canada, we also have the flow through financing mechanisms where we can raise at a significant premium, right? Which so it's that just follows in with our our anti-dilutive nature.
Okay, so speaking of the share price, we had a nice little bump in the past week. It's coming back a little bit down to earth. Is that market's way of saying keep up the good work, or we're expecting great things from you? What do you think it's saying?
I think people are starting to recognize. I mean, there was a lot of churn, obviously, in Q4 and maybe at the beginning of January. Just as as you have kind of two families of shareholders come into fury, right? I mean, it's what we're doing is not for everyone. People could have been invested in Auryn for Peru and not for the Canadian assets. You had a lot of very fatigued East Main shareholders that basically probably took profits and just took a break, which I think is a good thing. We had quite the marketing week last week. We're coming out with drill results. And people starting to see, and the story is really starting to resonate with people as they start to do their A/B comparison and start to see the quality. To be honest, but Kerry, from a share price perspective, I'm not going to be happy until we trade through the consensus analyst price target of $3 or 350 Canadian. That's my personal goal, and I think we're going to get there sooner rather than later, based on what we're going to be delivering in Q1.
Well, it's good to have goals and achievable goals, and as a shareholder, I'm rooting for you here. So Michael, as far as what's next here, drill programs, Mike mentioned moving in a second drill over to Eau Claire. What are you planning for?
Well, I think in the immediate future in Quebec, what we want to do is test that 1 kilometer extension to the deposit, right? We want that answer in the next couple of months, next 2 to 3 months, to start seeing some grade come out of the drill holes, to really start getting a handle on where the high grade is going to be situated. And then from there, we're sort of transitioning into our very busy summer here in North America, where we're going to, have Homestake Ridge ongoing, surface work at Quebec ongoing, both at the Eau Claire deposits, at the La Clarke property and the Eleanor South joint venture, and then of course Committee Bay. So the immediate future though is on that deposit extension at Eau Claire though.
Well, makes sense. Go where the going is good. Committee Bay, what are we looking at there as far as the drill program for the summer, and what are your expectations?
Well, it's to be determined. Honestly, we are in a COVID world, and this is one of the places that it is affected by COVID. There's a lot of restrictions in terms of movement into Nunavut. We are planning on going drilling at Committee Bay, sort of hoping between 5,000 and 10,000 meters, depending on, again, what's happening with COVID. For us, when we go to Committee Bay these days, we've done a lot of heavy lifting, right? We've done all the belt-wide geochemical and geophysical surveys and all the groundwork that needs to be done to do proper targeting. And so when we go up now, we're going on the back of either finding new gold systems that we're following up on, trying to hit the high grade within them, or we've got some high grade prospects that we haven't touched yet. So I think what you'll see from us when we go up is it's going to be quite surgical in our approach. We know what we want to do. We want to get some drill holes into high grade targets. And instead of all this, a big belt scale approach, again, it's just very focused. And I think for shareholders who are getting involved with us now, you're really having the benefit of us doing a lot of learning over the years. And now I think every drill program is more impactful than the last as we get closer to our goal of a major discovery up there.
And Mike, so 3 major projects here. I know optionality important to many investors, myself as well, but 3 really massive projects. I guess your experience with Agnico really comes into play here.
Yeah, it's a good question. We get the multiple asset question a lot, and it really comes down. It comes down to 2 things. It comes down to strategy, and it comes down to people. And so, our focus is on opportunity per share, right? And so if we can stack as much opportunity on top of each other at each project, and then assemble that on a per share basis for investors, that's our focus, not just on one project. We have the blinders on and we can do it. So it's a deliberate point of focus for the company, right? And that was by design. The other aspect to it is people, right? So you have myself, Mike Henrichsen, who's obviously here, and Lindsay Sherry from Goldcorp, right? So Agnico, Newmont, and Goldcorp. And so our skill sets, having worked at having worked at the majors, are around multiple asset platforms. I mean, this is what we're trained to do, right? So when it comes to systems and processes, when it comes to good capital allocation, when it comes to balancing risk, running larger teams, being able to take on a little bit extra expectation and pressure, this is how we perform, right? This is exactly what we want to do, and this is our comfort zone. So I think it works, and people have, before you ask the question, or as you're asking the question, you realize it's people. Everything starts with a good team and ends with a good team.
Yeah, and this is where proven leadership, people with experience, like both of you, Michael, really comes into running a company and making it successful. Because we know we're in a risky business, we're in a risky world. Who would have thought 2 years ago we'd even know the word COVID? There was, it was the work of science fiction novels that turned out to be true. I mean, really, all these uncertainties. So the risk management aspect really falls on the team's shoulders. And Mike, when you think of risk out there, what you're dealing with, certainly having 3 really promising projects is better than 1, because you've also got backup, you've got diversification, and that's unusual, really, for a junior explorer.
The other aspect to it is the fact that because we have multiple assets, each one of them has to do really less heavy lifting, right? Compared to if it was in one company. And so that means that Mike and his team can slow down. They can think more, right? They can digest the information, digest all the information that they're gathering, and make better decisions, right? So that's really what we're trying to set up for all of our technical work teams is them to come into work every day knowing what they're going to do, knowing that they have the time to really noodle on things, build targets, can make conclusions. And if you're at one project and the thing always has to be putting news out, it's a bit more of a higher pressure situation. And so and in my view, less quality of work in the end. And Mike, any comments on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think from the perspective of the diversification, I mean, we always want to be in a position where we can turn things on and off, because it is a risky world out there and a risky business that we're in. For me, the platform that we're starting with is the key. High grade across all things just gives us that optionality, and I think that's maybe the word that I use instead of diversification. It's optionality. You always need to be planning ahead, thinking, okay, what are my options? And so for when Mike and I sit down and discuss how these projects are going to go through time, we have options to move around. We can be like, okay, let's hit that hard right now. This is a good window for that. It's a good time for us to spend our capital exploring or adding ounces. And then we can slow it down, as Mike says, digest it, think about what to do next. Where's the biggest bang for the buck for the shareholders coming next? And then we can move our focus to the next one, right? And so you're always going to have this nice cycle of a project as it's sort of developing. And I think, as you said, Mike, maybe we're taking the pressure away through the optionality.
And that makes complete sense. Really appreciate you two coming on. Hey, go over to furygoldmines.com. Make sure you sign up for the notifications so you get the news as it's released, and send us any emails with questions for Mike Timmins or Michael Henrichsen, KL@kerrylutz.com. I should mention, whether you're on the TSX or the New York Stock Exchange. The symbol is Fury, Fury. Gentlemen, best of luck this coming drilling season. I'm sure we'll be talking again soon.
Thank you, Kerry.
Thank you.
The Financial Survival Network.